everybody who's here. There we go. Is that better? You can see me, I believe. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good time zone. Happy time zone to everybody here. I do see that a lot of people have followed me overnight. But even before that, I reached affiliate status, and that is thankful to all of you guys. And I appreciate everybody who's here lurking, who's following, who's watching after the fact. Everybody, period. I'm so thankful to you guys for all your support. If you did not know, this is a reading stream, and it is for great leaders of their people. And I reached out to a lot of world anvilites, which are cool people who world build on worldanvil.com. And they gave me permission to read their articles on stream, and that's what I'm doing because I have a lot of judging to do. I am supposed to, Vasemasti, I believe, says, "Excuse you, none of us are cool." You are cool. Thank you for
Obligatory associate.
Somebody else followed. Thank you for following. Michaela Voigt says, "Hey, hello." I appreciate you guys so much, and you are cool. You really are. And I think it's such a cool thing to read other people's articles and let people, network and see each other's work. And a lot of you guys were surprised that I wanted to read your articles. Some of you guys were like, nobody might ever read my work. So I know that a lot of work is out there, and I know how it is to be a writer. And sometimes it feels like you're publishing things out into the void and nobody will ever read what you're writing. So that's why I like to read other people's stuff and help them get exposure and just learn myself as well. Because there's lots to learn from other people's work, not just what I could do in my own writing, but just learning about your worlds and learning about your characters is very interesting to me. Some of you guys know that I love character development so much, and that's why I want to sponsor an article that showcased characters. And I love world building and all that. I love all those kinds of sciences and geographies to the world, but I also love characters because they're like people that you can meet and learn about. I see World Keymaster is here. World Keymaster says they will lurk today. Hope everyone has a good time zone. Likewise, World Keymaster, I appreciate you and thank you for lurking. Yes, this is awesome. So yes, I believe that we, for one, as I said, I'm now affiliate, which is so awesome. I still can't realize that you guys are awesome and helping me to become an affiliate on Twitch. That was just amazing. Thank you. Michaela Voigt says, by the way, I am the Etherian Workshop on World Anvil, which is how I found you. Oh, yes. Thank you, Etherian Workshop. And that means that you probably want me to read your article as well. So I have my spreadsheet up, and I'm going to find you guys who are in the chat who want me to read your articles while you're here. Another person says, "Heyo, Kyo here. Hello, how are you? Thank you for joining." I appreciate you guys, all you guys. As you see, I have 44 notifications from you guys. And yes, let me pull up my spreadsheet so that I can find the cool beans that are in the chat now and read their articles. Let's see. I just destroyed my own spreadsheet. Hold on. Judging. Okay. So there are a lot of people here in the chat. Unfortunately, some of you guys' articles were access denied, so I could not do anything. Moonflower's here. Waves. It says, "I will be lurking as I wake up more." Oh, Good morning, and thank you for joining while you were early in the morning. Yep, I'm glad you're here lurking while you're just waking up and listening to the stream. Hopefully, you're not listening to the scream. That would be disturbing to wake up to, but it's a stream, so that's better. Vase Masty says, "Oof, that's a lot of multipass." Yes, it is. So, but I was thinking there would probably be more than 12, but there was just 12. And then this one was my own, and I did it already. Then there were a lot of you guys that I did already, and then a lot of you guys said that you gave me permission. So that's a whole lot of articles. Let's see. EtherianWorkshop is here, so let's search. View, find. There we go. This is Dreyma Rikr, I believe. So we can read this one, Dreyma Rikr. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Once again, if you are in the chat and I'm not pronouncing your things correctly, please let me know, because I don't want to be butchering any names. Vaismasti says, aren't there actually hundreds of entries? Yes, there are actually 325 entries, only 11 of which were multipass and one of which are mine. So that still is over 300 entries. That fortunately I've gone through quite a few already, and I just thought that it would be fun to read them on stream so that everybody can read them too. And at the end of this, I'm going to have to choose one of these 300 to be a winner, which is very hard because so far there have been some awesome entries that I've been reading and very interesting characters. Mikolovoid says, you are, and oof, it's a rough article. But I do have great plans for her. Oh, yes. Okay, that's great. So this is your article, and it's Dreyma Rikr, and I guess I did pronounce it correctly. So Alpha Dreyma Rikr. Sheer. Dreyma Rikr is the head alpha of the Zrugos, I believe, and commands respect with her presence. That said, she is actually a very kind and loving woman dedicated to her people. Description: lean, lithe woman known for her speed and agility, long, thin, yet regal features similar to that of a silken windhound. Her most striking features are her large eyes that exude confidence and calm almost constantly. Those are good descriptions as well. Mental characteristics. Dreyma was raised as the heiress to her pack, the future Alpha. As such, she was always taught the importance of her actions in standing up for those who could not stand up for themselves. She never once questioned her place or her duty and took her studies seriously, though she was known for some wild antics. This served her well, and is why she was put at the helm of the Council of Alphas that led to the Zrugos, and effectively named queen in regards to the Prowin province. The good thing I like is that there's a link to Zrugos, so I don't know what they are, but I can figure out. Oh, cool. They're a race. I still don't know how to pronounce it, though. Let's see. Prowin province, yes. Dreyma finished her standard education at the age of 15 and went to study at one of the best technical universities in the Chinate province. She chose to study architecture and ecology due to the importance of both her people. Due to the importance of both to her people. Oh, due to the importance of both to her people. I got it. So both architecture and ecology are important to her people. That's what it is. She serves as the head. Well, it's missing an E, but that's okay. She serves as the head alpha on the Council of the Zrugos, as well as queen in regards to the province as a whole, a role she makes ample use of the advisors for. Dreyma has a strong sense of right and wrong and a deep-seated need to take care of those that can't take care of themselves. She firmly believes in leaving no one behind and helping wherever she can. So much so that her charity and community works have seen her as one of the most well-loved rulers of the Zrugos in history. Taboos, bigotry. Personality. Dreyma wishes to ever improve the lives of her peoples of all within the province she calls home. So then we have her species. She's a Zrugos, which we figured out what they are. We can learn more about them. In fact, this is what I'm supposed to do every time where is it? Okay. I'm supposed to copy and paste in the chat so that you guys can read it and you guys can learn more, because I don't have time to click all the links into the world. But go ahead and click that link in the chat and read along, because this seems like an interesting world already. They seem like they are some, yes, anthropomorphic canines. That's what they are. That's what I was imagining, because I was like, okay, they're describing them a little bit like wolves or something. So these are interesting species. She's 35. Date of birth 53rd of Iselas, 1965. Age of the Great Dragon. Right? She's a Telleran. So yeah, there's a lot of nice description and stuff in this sidebar. Long white wavy hair. Okay, quote and catchphrase. Never mistake my kindness for weakness. I will rend you if you harm what is mine. That is a fierce quote from a brave and powerful leader. And I could tell from this article that she really does care about her people. So yes, that was great. I see the chat has been busy, and I will catch up on it in a second. But just to you, EtherianWorkshop, yes, this is a great article. There was a couple of little spelling errors, like the missing E and stuff like that, but that's to be expected, of course. It's fine. The only other thing I would say is I like the colors of this article, and I love the format of it. But if you would like to just like extend the sidebar down a bit so that it matches with the contents, that's one of my peeves. If the sidebar is like, it cuts off and then this part is just blank, it's kind of a bit, you know, uneven in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. And then the last thing, more important even than the appearance, would be just some of these pronunciations. I do like how you linked a lot of these places so we can figure out what they are, and even the species so we can figure out what they are, but I still don't know how to pronounce them. So adding pronunciations is something that I've been suggesting to a lot of people. And I need to do better myself too, because even in my world, especially Winsome Horde, I was talking about it one time, and when you see it written out, somebody was like, in Discord was like, how do you even pronounce this? I'm so confused. Sometimes when you don't know how to pronounce something, it kind of takes you out of the story when you're trying to figure out, you know. So it's good to have pronunciations there just so that you can still feel immersed and still not feel like there's something in your mind thinking, am I pronouncing this right? What's happening? So yeah, that's my only advice. And this is a nice article, and I like how neat it is. And the font is big, and like the colors are great. So yes, I'm going to catch up on the chat now. Moonflower says, oh, Base Masty says, I'm Frogdrake on World Anvil. So I will go search you, of course. Moonflower says, I sponsored a species prompt and used a random generator because I'm so busy with work that I can't read them all in the time period allotted. That is right. Yeah, it's a whole lot to do. And I wouldn't have been able to do this at all if it wasn't for unexpected circumstances that seemed kind of disappointing at first, but I guess they're working out. So, yeah, I totally understand work. A random generator is a great idea. I appreciate you sponsoring a prompt. That's really cool too. Akiyashi says, "Oh goodness, not only will I embarrass myself with bad and incomplete writing, but also with bad formatting and design too." It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry about all that. I'm not a harsh judge at all. I just like reading. Emily says hi. Hello, Emily. Nice of you stopping by. Moonflower says, as the person who made this CSS theme, I can tell you that it's held together with hopes and dreams at the moment. That you made the CSS theme, that's nice. This is a nice layout. Let's see. Vasemasti says, my solution to things being hard to pronounce is just to steal real languages. That way I also can't pronounce the names in my world correctly. That's a funny idea too. But even when I use like words from other languages and stuff like that, I still like to put pronunciations just in case. And because even if it's a real language, a lot of people, like you said, even you might not know how to pronounce some things in your world. There were some things in my world I was like, how do I pronounce it? Because sometimes when I get words from like Old English, or I get it from a Latin or something, and I'm making my own languages, it's a lot. And even I'm like, I know the etymology and I know what I want this thing to be called, or I know what I want somebody to be named, but how do I say this out loud? So it's a challenge, but you have to kind of get yourself to think, how would I say it out loud? And then try to, pronounce it as much as you can. But I understand. Sometimes pronunciation isn't at the forefront. If you're reading it and you just know how to read it, you know how to read it. And then once somebody asks you to read it out loud, you're like, I don't know. But I just know I've seen the name a lot. I just don't know how to pronounce it. And that's fine too. But personally, I just like pronunciations just in case somebody wants to read it out loud. Let's see. Mikola Void says, thank you for the CSS again to Moonflower. Mochimanoban, sorry, says hello. Thank you for stopping by as well. Oh yes, Akashi is telling me it's Aki, Akashi, or just Aki. Lost my old Twitch account. It's okay. Thank you for telling me how to pronounce it. Sorry about that. Emily says for pronunciation, always use French names, but the rest of you don't know how to pronounce them. Yeah, some French I try, but I'm not an expert at French, unfortunately. Emily says, so I use the IPA pronunciation website and SoundCloud files when I remember to do it, which it didn't last month. That's totally understandable as well. Yes, I like to sometimes put sound bites in articles where you can hear things being pronounced, which is awesome when you can. But I understand it's not always possible. Moonflower says Tritolis was one of the articles I made during my burnout, so it really only got the pronunciation for Tritolis. Understandable. Mikola says, I need to work on the pronunciation thing. I just get in a hurry to get the idea written down. That's totally understandable as well, especially during summer camp when everything's busy. Personally, myself, I did the bare minimum of each article that I was able to do, and then I just left it, and I said, I'm going to go back on needing them up, and I did not get enough time to do it. So it's totally understandable, especially these are summer camp articles. We do not expect them to be perfect at all. Moonflower says it's not even in IPA. Well, so it's fine. It's fine. Remember, don't overthink things. Sometimes the most important thing is just to get everything out on the page. Once it's out there, you can neaten it up. But yes, as long as it's out there, which is good. Let's see. What else am I supposed to do? I know that I was supposed to read. I know somebody's lurking here. Let's see. Yes, so SoulLink wanted me to read their article. And yes, let me see. I think they're having a hard time finding my article. My Twitch, I mean. Hold on a moment. I want to make sure they are able to be in while I am streaming. All right. Now let's go on to the next one. They're not in yet. Who was next in the chat? Let's see. Aki, are you... You're from World Anvil. What is your name on World Anvil? Because I see that you did post Kyo. Is that your name on World Anvil? I'm gonna try to search it in this chat bar and see if it comes up. I'm not sure if that's just the name. If that is the name, that's pretty nice. Nope, that's not it. So if that's an abbreviation for something, please let me know. Moonflower says, I'm just super glad you commented this morning because the stream is super fun to wake up with. Aw. I'm glad that you enjoy the streams. And I'm glad that this is a good thing for you to wake up with. Thank you, Kyo, for posting the full name. Ah, they're still not up there. It's still not up there. Do you know which character you wrote? Oh, never mind. You know what? I might be searching within instead of searching all. Let me try again. It's probably searching within. There we are. There you are. There you are. All right, we got it. We've got it. Raeu Vogelsang? Raeu Vogelsang, I believe. If that is not the right way to pronounce it, please let me know. Yes, so Raeu Vogelsang. Wait, what was the article that we were just on? I am going to confuse myself with things that I've done already and did not do already. This person, I'm going to mark that I've done it already. And I'm going to mark this one as well before I forget. And then things happen and, you know.
Obligatory associate.
Somebody else followed. Hello, Butcher of Seville. I appreciate you following. Nice of you to join. Let's see. Once again, the spreadsheet is so large that it is not wanting to cooperate. There we are. And I'm just going to make it where we know that I did it already. Now, the second thing I need to do is put this in the chat so that you guys can read along. So I'm putting the link in the chat so that you guys can read along. By Kyo. There we go. All right. Moonflower says, moonflower-writing on World Anvil for the record. Yes, 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 I am familiar. And I will try to read yours maybe next. I was trying to go in the order of those in the chat that said, commented. So let's see, Raeu Vogelsang. Raeu Vogelsang is the current holder of the Leader of Balance title and is in his 3rd year of governing. He is engaged with Volin Fubasu, with whom he regularly travels from capital to capital. Raeu is a 1.70 centimeter tall human man at the age of 30. He rarely, if ever, I think it's if ever, there's an extra Y there, styles his brown hair, which gives it a ruffled up look. His dark blue and almond-shaped eyes behind thick framed glasses, which gives him which gives his gaze a conflicting impression of being stern, yet kind and soft at the same time. Very interesting descriptions. Reyes attire, Raeu's attire, Raeu's, I'm not sure how it's pronounced still. I think it needs an apostrophe here. Is Lydien, with it consisting most commonly of a plain-colored sleeveless shirt, just as plainly colored pants of thin fabric, and the most boring boots one could find. That's a funny little addition, and it's giving me a good image of the character. He commonly carries a messenger bag filled with notebooks, pencils, and all kinds of useful things, like candy. This is an interesting character, and I like the appearance section, how it gives a quaint little description. Upbringing. Raeu was born in Leviat, the most nature-based capital associated with the domains of nature and soul. This surely shows in his character. He was always an open person and never failed to make friends quickly. Even at a young age, he had a clear vision of wanting to help as many people and make as many friends as possible. His political career already started in school, where he got elected into the school board and quickly rose to be the most wanted consultant if any problems crept up. Raeu was always a good problem solver and had the talent to anticipate problems to solve them before they got out of hand, which is nice. This led him to being the youngest Inner Balance Council member ever. He got elected into the board at the young age of 25, just after he left school. Even there, he quickly overshadowed other, way older board members by reaching out of his own department to solve problems for everyone. Then, something that never happened before happened. Whereas normally people who run for the title of leader of balance are way older, often in the 40 to 50 year range, Raeu got voted for by almost everyone in his council to be able to run sooner. And as such, just after 2 years of service, Raeu ran for the title and won. That's an interesting character. That is an interesting character. And I do like the definitions and descriptions of it. Aki says, yeah, it was my last and most rushed article. Bam, end because I reached 300 words. Sorry. Yes, of course. That's what I said. I did that same thing. Once I reached 300 words, some articles I just stopped. And I would like to learn more. I would like to learn more about him and what a leader of balance is and who this person is that he travels with. And, you know, it's a lot of things I would like to learn more, but I do understand it's a rushed article. But for one, the sidebar is totally empty. And in this case, I would like rather to totally delete the sidebar, which you can override for it to hide the sidebar. Or you can just fill this up with different article blocks or quotes or things like that. Or a different art if you have art of the characters. Aki says, Leader of Balance is even an article I made, but it's not linked. Understandable. But it's great. So if you want to find out about the Leader of Balance, guys, click that link that I put in the chat and you can explore this world and figure out way more about it. So yes, this was quite a nice article. It was fun to read. I do notice that this is a very cute banner. I'm thinking it's probably the world banner. No? I don't know. One of the things that I would note is that since this is a cute banner, I don't know who made it, if you made it or if somebody else made it. It would just be great to give credits to the person who created the artwork, whether that be you or somebody else. But whoever did, this is a nice, neat page that is just laid out. It's not too much, not too overwhelming. I would just ask for maybe some pronunciations and then the sidebar, of course, either to be hidden or filled up. And then the linking of articles that are something that we might want to learn more about. And then lastly, the crediting of the art. But other than that, this was an interesting character to read about, and I would be interested in reading more about this person because uh, that's very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing the article. Let's see who's next. In the chat, we have Moonflower. Moonflower's next. Aki says, yeah, definitely fill in more. I write in another software, and it was more like throwing stuff in and adding header formatting. Thanks for feedback. Yes, I totally understand because I know that these are summer camp articles. They're not perfect at all. At all. But it's still nice and interesting to read them. And yes, half of the feedback is probably things that you already knew about your own article, which is totally fine and understandable. Moonflower-writing, I believe. I think it would still come up when I just search Moonflower. Don't understand why. Let's search again. Moonflower, what is the name of the article that you wrote? Cordishal says, how many articles do you have to judge? There are 325 entries. Oh, thank you for just posting the link.
Obligatory associate.
Thank you for following, Aki. I appreciate that. Here we are. Here you are. Let's just blue this out. And Moonflower put it in the chat. So everybody check out that article link. Let's see. I will click it myself. Tritolis. The 4th? The 5th? Sometimes Roman numerals are quite... not that. Roman. Okay, trying to make sure. 4th. I thought it was the 4th. I just wanted to make sure. I don't want to embarrass myself in front of everybody and start calling it the wrong thing. Tritolis the 4th. Right. Yes. Aki says it's very nice to listen to you. Aw, thank you so much for being here. Cordishal says 325 articles is a lot of reading. It sure is. Yes, thank you for confirming the 4th Moonflower. I thought so. I was looking to see, like, do I have a Roman numeral clock in here? And I don't. I do have Roman numeral clocks around, but not here. And I was like, help me. Okay. So, Tritolis the 4th, 12 Melua 1227, Age of Water. So, is this just the year it is, or this the birthday of him? Let's see. Duke Tritolis the 4th, aka Tritolis the Kind, he, him. Tritolis the 4th is the current Duke of Tritolis as of 1227 AW, which is Age of Water, I believe. Yes, and there's a tooltip. I love tooltips. Age of Water, yes. He took up the position after the death of his mother, Duchess Hiliona, in 1183 AW. Since his ascension to Duke, Tritolis IV has gained the epithet Tritolis the Kind for his efforts in reducing homelessness and increasing education levels in Tritolis. He is popular with most of his people, although the upper class in the city have detested many of his reforms. Personality characteristics. Motivation. Tritolis IV is motivated by his people's happiness, and the primary goal is to increase the life expectancy in the city-state of Tritolis. He has instituted many reforms in education to ensure his people know enough to take care of their bodies, and has worked closely with charity organizations aiming to decrease homelessness. Funding to research organizations studying the too short lifespans of his people has been increased drastically. That's nice. Reign. Tritolis IV's reign as Duke of Tritolis started shortly after his mother died of typhoid fever. Since his ascension, he has reduced the number of homeless in Tritolis by over a quarter, and he has sponsored many research projects that led to the development of new medications. That's nice. So then there's a little family tree here. It shows Heliona, I believe. Then there's Tritolis. And we can zoom out and see the rest of the line. So before Heliona, there was Tritolis III, and there was Tritolis II. Interesting. And I believe that you should be able to click these. Oh, it's a multipass. But yes, I like how you have these linked, and the little family tree here is nice. So when we do have permission to read the articles, we can. Then there's little notes under it, just in case somebody's having trouble with the family tree. That's nice to have this here. Wealth and financial state. Although Tritolis IV is a very wealthy individual, he is notoriously bad with money. For this reason, he appointed 3 treasurers instead of the traditional 1 to manage the city's finances. These 3 treasurers have taken it upon themselves to manage Tritolis' personal finances as well as the official city finances. That's an interesting note of him. I like this article because even though it's very short, it gives me a lot of information about him, and it's just an interesting character, especially the bit about how he's not good with money. That was a nice addition. He seems to be very health-centered, and he wants to help his community. He doesn't like homelessness, and he doesn't like when they're not healthy enough to take care of themselves. So I like how he is very centered around health and wellness. He's a merfolk, as I expected him to be. There's a good Hero Forge depiction of him. Presumably, you created this moonflower? Let's see. So he's Ascarian, which there's a link to that, so we know what they are. He's 73 years old. Yes, so his eyes are round and bright green. His hair is golden yellow, kept long with a long beard. Red with golden and blue accent skin. He is 270 centimeters. Now, I do not measure in centimeters, but I think that that's quite tall. Usually, I don't know. I need to do a conversion. But yes, I think that he's still quite tall. Let's see. Catching up on the chat, Moonflower says, now that I am awake enough to actually not stumble over my words to an insane degree, thank you so much for reading these articles. Thank you so much for allowing me to read yours, and this one was a very interesting one. I like the color scheme. I like the article, how it's set up. I do like this family tree here. The sidebar could just use a couple of more things, maybe a quote or two or an article block or two, just so that it can be lined up with the contents. Other than that, I think that it was pretty good. There weren't too many things that I feel like were too hard to pronounce. You could put a pronunciation of maybe Heliona if you want to, but I think that it's okay. Yeah, it's fine. This was a really good, simple article, and I would like to know more about the character. So yeah, I like it. Let's see. Moonflower says, well, I only had time to publish Tritolis IV. Well, that's fine. It's good. They're already here and they're already linked. And technically, you can, I know it's going to multipass me, but you can edit these people and publish them whenever you want, and they will instantly appear here. So you don't have to think about it and go back and say, I need to edit Tritolis again to add these, because it's already there. It's just hidden. So it's already there, but you can update the other people's articles, and then automatically his will be updated to have those links as well. So that's good. Moonflower says, I did create it, and it does have credits, although the credits aren't showing up. It's fine. Sometimes, yes, on World Anvil, if you have certain CSS, it's supposed to credit the see, usually when you click a picture, it will actually take you to the picture on its own page, and that's not happening. So I don't know if it's something with your CSS that you have where it doesn't show up, but it's fine. I understand. Tooltip. Oh, it's supposed to be a tooltip that tells you who created the picture? I don't know. Let's see. The credits for the portraits are at the bottom. Oh yes, cover image, Mermaids by Studio, and character portrait image by HeroForge. Yes, so that's great. Yes, thank you for keeping your eyes out, Cordishal. I did that on a couple of other articles. I'm like, you guys didn't credit? And then somebody in the chat said, yes, they did. It's down there. I'm like, oh man, okay. I need to pay attention. On the height, there's a tooltip. Oh, I see. 8 feet and 10 inches. I knew he was tall. I was like, that's too tall. That's not a normal height. But thank you for that tooltip as well, because when you think about pronunciations, but also you think about conversions, not everybody measures in feet, and not everybody measures in centimeters. So I need to do better with that myself, because sometimes I'm just so partial to feet and inches, and some people are like, how tall is that? I don't know. So yeah, that's a good idea. I've gotten some inspiration. Maybe I should tooltip over my feet and inches to let others know how tall that is in centimeters. Thank you so much, moonflower-writer. We have Undersea Giganticism is very interesting. I will say that much. Yes, exactly. So I was figuring it was because he's underwater and they're probably like giants under there. This is a very interesting world. I would love to learn more about the world itself. Thank you so much again for sharing that nice article. Let's see who else is in the chat. We have Amélie. I will search Amélie. I'm not sure. Oh, is it because I'm still trying to find it in that one? Do you have a different name here, Amélie? Oh, the accent. Oh, thank you so much for posting that. I'm going to try that one. There you are. There you are. All right, great. Thank you. All right, we have the water god Lydien. Lydien? Now, Amélie is known for being very detailed and quite long-winded in articles. So if I do skim over it a bit, please do not be offended. I just want to make sure that I have enough time to go over everybody's articles. But of course, I'm going to put a link to it so that everybody can read it on their own time. I do appreciate how detailed you are. You're very detailed and very thorough. But sometimes I don't really have all the time to read the whole thing. So I will kind of still try to read it in a spare time. But we're just kind of going to overview it here on chat. Amélie says this is about 1.5k words. So I figured so. And this is probably one of the shorter articles that Amélie does. Because I've seen some that are very, very detailed and very informative. And that just shows how much of an awesome, detailed, thorough world builder you are, which is great. But sometimes people would, like, they might not have the time to read the whole thing, but it is great that you still do lay it out. So let's just see. We know that it's a water god. It says, you may hear a lot of things about who is the true patron god of our country. And there's a tooltip there telling what gods are in this world. But don't let yourself be taken by such propaganda. No matter what people say, it has always been and always will be His Holiness our Lord Lydien, ruler over all waters. May his reign last forever and more. First of all, you need to remember that the proper forms of address. Our Lord is old and quite a traditionalist. He won't put up with all this modern nonsense about doing away with titles and calling gods by their names. Whatever amount of sense you may have, there are just some gods you don't want to cross, and our Lord is definitely one of them. No amount of other gods protecting you will prevent him from getting his revenge for this slight. Whoa. So already from this first paragraph, I see that this is like somebody talking to you, letting you know the deal. And yeah, this guy doesn't seem like he's like this. This looks like this is him. Doesn't look like somebody that you want to mess with. So yeah, I like the personality of the article and how there's somebody telling you things about it. So I'm not going to read over all of it, but I love how Amélie always has art, and she, even though the article is long, it's broken up, as you see, so it doesn't feel so like a word wall block, you know, where the whole article is just filled up with words and you don't know where to start and where to end. With this, you can literally go and leave and come back and say, oh, I left off at responsibilities, because she has it properly sectioned off. She has nice pictures. It tells personality and see how there's not really a sidebar, but there's still a lot of side content here that is in line with the body. So you see how this is, and I just like the layout of this. I love the layout of this. And there's even other links to other articles, a royal archivist. So we can learn more about them. And yeah, it's not too long of an article. We can read a little bit more. Let's see, responsibilities. The Lord of all waters' most ancient dominion is the big river that runs through our city. And there's a link to what city this is. Since our ancestors first inhabited these lands, we have prayed to our Lord to protect us against flooding and drought alike. Our Lord is the one who taught us irrigation and has helped us maintain its infrastructure. Since this time, our worship has supported our Lord in his ascension among the godly hierarchy. More gods have appeared. Some also linked to water, yet our Lord subjected them all to his will, making himself Lord over them all and all the water points, rivers, lakes, oceans, clouds, and other weather phenomena, that they represent the foremost water god in the world. And as his first people, we all have shared a reflection of his rising glory. Today, all over the country, our Lord still ensures that the level of the rivers and wells stays within the safe limits, that our fields are irrigated, our water safe to drink, and the weather pleasant and conducive to life. At least when he is in a good mood, which shows that he might use those water powers if he gets annoyed or angry. Then personality, that we'll talk about it a bit. Our Lord stands out among all gods for being very controlled with his power and very deliberate with all of his actions. You will not find him throw a tantrum, destroy a whole city, and put himself in troubles with other gods. No. His anger is cold as ice, and you cannot hope to escape it by him forgetting about you. Even if you have the protections of other gods, our Lord will always get you in the end. I feel like this person that's talking is a devoted follower of this guy, because they're like backing him and bragging about him. As his priests constantly harp on, there's a link to the priests, our Lord is incredibly generous with his followers, at least compared to other gods. Not rarely, he rewards his mortal agents with gifts of precious artifacts. Which there's another tooltip, which links to an article. I love when it links to other articles. or magical abilities. This is undoubtedly one of the main reasons why our city and country have been loyal to him through millennia, and why our best mages always choose to dedicate themselves to him rather than another god. However, mistake this for weakness and leniency at your own peril. Among the gods, our Lord is one of the stronger stickler for respect and traditions. He punished all slights, no matter how small. For minor ones, we can hope to get away with very hard rain, the kind that drench and freezing you in seconds. Bonus point if it prevents big celebrations and festivals from taking place. For the most severe, well, the gods are forbidden for outright killing a bunch of mortals. But whose fault is it if it just happens to rain a little hard on top of mountains at the other end of the continent? Look how reasonable he is, not even taking his anger out inside the country. And he can certainly not be faulted for putting extra effort and power into keeping the river from flooding after his people have insulted him now, can he? History with the country. And it tells current conflicts that's going on. So let's see. There's a lot of talking about how... I can read it. The history of our country is long, and so is that of the relationships between it and our Lord. Like I have explained before, see, this is a first-person account. Our Lord started as the patron of this city from the time it was a mere city-state, at the time when farming was just being invented. It is thanks to him that we managed to expand and conquer almost all the continent several times. No matter how many times our empire crumbled, our Lord patiently built it back up. So yeah, then they're talking about
obligatory associate.
There's another follower. Thank you for following, Silva7271. I appreciate it. Let's see else. Current conflict. Right now, the country is in the middle of a succession crisis. The king is still in power, but his chosen heir just died, and he must choose a new one. This is a perfect occasion for the gods to still prestige and influence by getting themselves chosen as the new patron god of the country. Thus, each god has their own candidate to the throne, and their churches are all fighting together to defend their interests. This is very interesting. And they talk about another god. Opinion from the archives. Let's see. Having access to the full royal archives has allowed me to see the full range of our interactions with our Lord. Those who let themselves get blinded by shiny riches and magical artifacts are fools. Tangling with the gods never ends well for anyone. Our Lord might reward his favorites well, but apart from a few legends, another link, the public knows little about what those favorites have had to do to achieve the state, nor to what happened to the far more numerous individuals who have disappointed him. The current debate going on about the new choice of heir and patron god is especially worrying for how freely it makes people speak. Our Lord might refrain from smiting us all before the big decision is made, but he's certainly listening, and he will remember. So I'm thinking, maybe is Cecile the person who is writing this article? I would think so. She's a daughter from a minor noble. So this is interesting. Oh, let's see. So yeah, that was probably her talking. So I do like this article setup. The whole CSS is nice. The layout is nice. The font is not too small. The colors are nice. I like how you have it says heavy rain, someone's angry, and like there's little bits in there. Things are always credited. There's links to other articles that are important. It's just, Amelie always does a great job of like laying out everything and being very informative, and while it's quite a lot to read, you can still skim over it and learn a lot. Let's see. Images are always credited, which is awesome. This is awesome. Thank you, Amelie, for letting me read this article. And now the chat is blowing up. I will go back and read it. Cedra Honnet says, hello, lovely people. Hello. Thank you for joining. Emily says, yes, I made an effort for summer camp to have shorter articles to be less stressed. I brought down my average to 800 words from 2.3K last year. Whoa.
Obligatory associate.
Oh, wow. Thank you for following SiobhantheWriter. I appreciate it. Yes, let's see. Amelie's world building talents motivates me to keep writing, says Mochimanoban. Yes, those are some great aspirations. And if this is considered downsizing an article, word count, I know you right. Your fingers are flying on those keyboards. Katoi Poi says, hey everyone, just back from dropping off the kids at school. Hello, Katoi Poi. Cordashol says the amount of words you produce and still make them nicely formatted and add tons of pictures is honestly intimidating. Yes, that is very interesting. But like I said, if you can't do this even as Amelie is doing it, don't be discouraged. Just do what you can. CSS is not everything. Images aren't everything. Just as long as you have the good and entertaining and informative article, and it's, gets to the point or it tells a nice story, it's great. But if you can do these things, that's great too. I do appreciate articles when they're neatly formatted like this and everything's just so neat and laid out. That's just nice. Vasamasti says, the notification is so jarring. Yes, sorry. That is, if you don't know, that is the voice of someone else voiced by John McNally, the awesome John McNally. And he calls everybody obligatory associates, and he does not call anybody partners. So when you follow me, I appreciate you, and I thank you so much, but someone has to tell you that you're an obligatory associate. Elise says she just got my comment, and Cecile is narrating all the articles in this world, says Amelie. Oh, wow, that's nice. I like how it's canon that she's narrating all the articles. Siobhan says, I hear you are reading leader articles today. Hello, I appreciate you stopping by. Next, I believe I should get to, is it, where is SoulLink? SoulLink, are you still here, SoulLink? I believe SoulLink was lurking and listening while working from home. Hopefully, they are still able to listen and hear. If you are still here, SoulLink, I could go over your article next. Let's see. Oh, Mochimanoban has to leave. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you have written an article and you would rather me read it while you're here, just let me know, and I can read it again a different time when you are here. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate you joining us. Yes, SoulLink is still here. Let's see. It is not working. Aki says I have to go too. Bye. It was fun being here. Thank you so much. I appreciate you allowing me to read your article. It was very interesting. It's not working. Vasamasti says I have to go about 20 minutes. Technically still at work and have a meeting. Oh no. If anybody's here and you want me to read your articles, just let me know who you are on World Anvil, and I can read it before you have to leave, hopefully. Here you are. Here you are. Joe Sanders. I've got you, SoulLink. Okay. Yes, you are working too. I'm all too familiar. Working from home and just listening to articles. So SoulLink said that his article is very short, as we see. So we will be able to just quickly read this, and then I should get to you, Vasemasti, which is Frogdrake, quickly, before you have to leave in 20 minutes. But I appreciate everybody if you're leaving right now. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I'd love to see you again soon sometime if you would like to join me again. Now let's get into Joel Sanders. But have a blessed day, everybody who's leaving. I appreciate you guys. Joe Sanders, interesting already. A retired decorated general living in a quiet life living a quiet live, I think it's supposed to be life, in the outskirts of Five Ponds. He lives with his granddaughter's house and enjoys the company of his grandchildren. Usually follows every day the same structure as he has done for a long time. A small walk in the early morning, followed by breakfast and reading the newspaper. In the morning, he meets up with some neighbors or spends some time with his children or grandchildren. For lunch, he eats a simple steak with some salad. In the afternoon, he goes to the shooting range to meet some old friends and shoot a bit. He returns home for dinner and listens to the gossip of the day from his granddaughter Stacy. In the evening, he usually plays games with some of the younger children or tells stories of the past. At 10 o'clock sharp, he turns in for the night and falls asleep. That's really nice how this is set up. There's a couple of little issues with, spelling your punctuation or grammar or something like that, but that's okay. Like I said, all of us have that, especially you're just rushing to get it down there. And the most important thing about this paragraph is I like how it just highlights a day in his life. It just shows what he eats in the morning for breakfast, who he spends time with, and then he goes to sleep. That's just so cute and enchanting. Oh, let's see. Elise says I have a reading by someone else going on right now, so could you wait a while so I can give it full attention, please? Sure, I will not do yours right away if you do not want me to. I think I'm going to do Frogdrake's next. Yes, this Base Massey says it looks like an art reader portrait, and I do think it does look like one. Let's see. All images are from Unsplash, unless otherwise. Oh, wait, here. Character portrait, Joe Sanders by Art Reader. Yes, it is Art Reader. Great. Okay, motivation. The old man is and has always been motivated by family, duty, and camaraderie. All of his decisions are guided by these three things, and he can be quite stubborn to get his way. Career. As a decorated war veteran, former general, and war hero, and criminal, Joe Sanders had a very long and colorful career. He started out as a young royalist in the Spanish Civil War. As this war was lost, he joined the refugees to North America to create a new home for him and his family. They eventually managed to settle in the Adirondack Mountains in a Five Ponds wilderness. At this time, he was one of the few military officers left with a lot of experience, and he was appointed as the general of the newly established Five Ponds nations. This new nation faced many difficulties as the land they now lived on was already contested by several other factions. Tensions grew quickly, and by 1947, the First Adirondack War broke out. Under General Sanders' leadership, the Five Ponds nation achieved an overwhelming and absolute victory. He was celebrated by the people for many years. Then, years after that victory, a journalist uncovered evidence that the Five Ponds military forces committed several war crimes during the First Adirondack War, and Joe Sanders directly ordered at least some of them and covered it all up. There was no direct evidence for the accusations against him, but after a month of pressure, he resigned his post and went into early retirement. Even if he did not commit the war crimes, they were committed under his leadership. Since then, the image on the war veteran has remained decisive. Health. Despite his advanced age, he is still fairly healthy. His mobility is a bit restricted by old wartime wounds, but people are always surprised just how much he still goes around. His active lifestyle and healthy diet into the old age has kept him up well enough through the decades. He always says that he is very fortunate to be still as healthy as he is. Relationships. He enjoys his retirement and maintains relationships with the members of his big family, neighbors, and old comrades, though not many of the comrades are left nowadays. In turn, the number of children seems to double every time his birthday comes around. That's fun. So it even has little links to each different section. That's a nice CSS touch. He's a species human, but tooltip says ordinary humans, nothing special about them. That's nice. But then there's something else here. He's a descendant from an ancient Celtic tribe from the Duero Valley in central Spain. He's a military officer, general, armed force of the 5-Pound Nation. There's a great tooltip there too. He's retired. Date of birth. So he's 95. All right. Great. This is a great, nice little short article. Nice art. I like the homey, warm feel to it. How it just highlights his day. It tells a little bit about him. It makes me want to learn more about the world as well. And the sidebar is not too short in comparison to the article, but I probably would add just like something little, like a quote here or a link to something there. Or just extend one of these boxes a little bit so it doesn't look off kilter. Other than that, there's a few grammar and spelling errors, but that's fine. This is quite a nice article, and it was very enjoyable to read about him. I like this. Let's see. They said Art Breeder does make nice portraits. And yes, thanks for reading. I appreciate you allowing me to read it. I appreciate it. Thank you for that. So we've done that one. Next, we are getting to you, Frogdrake, before you have to leave. Frogdrake. Hopefully I can quickly. What's happening? Find you. There you are. All right. Hagus, is it? That wasn't the blue I used. Okay. Oh, wait. Did I put the link to Joe Sanders in the chat? I don't think so. There we go. This is Joe Sanders, and let me see. Go to the metadata so I can get you SoulLink. There we go. I'm going to put the link to Joe Sanders so that you guys can read about him if you like to, because there's lots more to read in this world. There we are. Frogdrake says, sadly, this is one of the articles I dragged kicking and screaming across the 300-word mark and then dropped like a hot potato. Summer camp casualties. That is something that happened to some of mine as well. So do not feel bad at all. Yes. So be sure to check out Joe Sanders' article by SoulLink. I just put that link in the chat. But now I'm going to also put this link, Hagus or Hagus, I'm not sure. I'm going to put that in the chat by Frogdrake so that you guys can read that article as well. All right. If I forgot to link your article in the chat, please just let me know. Hagus, like that, right? Hagus, like that, or Hagus. Yes, that sounds very good. Hagus. All right, got it. Hagus, Chief Hagus Haudra. The leader of the Haudra tribe and war leader of all those clans which have agreed to throw their lot in with Haudra, Hagus is the most influential and powerful Gaffi alive. Though not formally leader of most of the Gaffi clans that comprise the Haudra Confederation, Hagus has commanded... I definitely need IPA here, says Vasamasti. It's okay. Hagus has commanded times of war and has broad support among the lesser chiefs within Haudra, giving him great influence. A member of the semi-nomadic Haudra tribe, He still lives the ancient Gaffy lifestyle, wintering in the valley closer by the river and going up the mountain in the summer. Since becoming the de facto leader of all of the Gaffy in the northeastern valley, he has had to spend much more time outside his core tribe and has had to choose a deputy to lead the Haudra in his stead when he is away. Rain. Among the Gaffy, he is known as the Great Conciliator. He is known as the Great Conciliator, having been able to unite clans that have previously quarreled over their territories. His greatest asset is a reputation for fairness, able to get quarreling chiefs to eat from the same pot. He's been able to keep a multipolar confederation functional and has even been able to expand with the addition of more Gaffy clans on the periphery of the alliance. He has been likewise effective in his other charge as the premier war leader of Haudra's warriors, though in this he has met his match in the Ras Gaffy Yaner. Not sure how to pronounce that either. Unlike his counterpart in Harhoon, which is the capital of Agabethan Gaffy, he does not have and has not sought the sort of autocratic power a Thaner Ras has, and the Haudra Confederation is at least nominally a gathering of equal tribes and clans. Against the Pillar of Horns, another good link to another article because I don't know what that is, he has done better, as Gaffy tactics of harrying and slowing down their dragon thrall enemies while denying their supply has kept them from entering Haudra land in force. So then there's his portrait. Nice. He's a dwarf. Oh. And there's a link to what a Gaffy is. He's 50 years old. And he believes in the god of roots, Haudra. There's a link to that too. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. But yes, there's links to everything, which is great. I appreciate there's links to everything. The sidebar, like I said, is not too off, so it's fine. But you might want to just add a quote or something weird or extend some of these little prompts here. But like I said, for a rushed article, it's pretty good. And the colors and the layout is neat and clean. I appreciate this article. And there is an art breeder credits to this picture, which is great. Let's see what they say. Hello again, says Mochimanoban. Oh, you're back. Hello. Beastmassey says these names are based on Oromo and Amharic gaze, which I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that either. But yes, if you use another language, I totally understand, and that's nice. I like to use other languages and other cultures as inspiration for world building. Shadow Phoenix is here and says hello. Hello, Shadow Phoenix. I appreciate you stopping by. So yes, we are reading articles, and we've almost read. How many did we read? I don't even know how many we've read yet. I'm going to go back through the chat and see who's next. Thank you once again to everybody who I've read so far. And that was a very interesting article, Frogdrake. Who did I skip? Who is here? I don't want to skip anybody who said that they are here. I already read yours. Mochimanoban, did you have an article and you wanted me to read it? If so, let me know what your World Anvil username is. And then there's CDRA Cedra Honnet. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. If you are still here, let me know what your username is, and if you would like me to read your article. Katoipoi, I don't know if I read your article already in another stream, but if I did not, please tell me. Let's see. SiobhantheWriter. Yes, if you're here still, let me know your username so that I can read yours. Byzantine13 says, hello from Bulgaria. Hello. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's see. Mochi says that their username is the same. I thought it was. Thank you for clarifying and confirming. We'll go ahead and do Mochi's article. It is Iakor. Not sure. Iakor. I'm not sure. If I'm messing it up, please let me know. I see this looks like some AI art. Let's check it out. Ooh, this is an interesting world layout. The ruler of a ridge valley and the leader of the valley people. Iakor is a lovely man who was raised to rule. Oh wow, a butcher of Seville has redeemed. Wordy, tell us a funny true story. Already? Okay. So I just became affiliate, so I had to do these things where you can redeem little points, and Butcher of Seville redeemed 100 wisps. So I'm gonna have to stop and tell an embarrassing story about myself. Sorry for disrupting your article. So, well, I can tell this story. So one day, it's not too embarrassing, but this is still kind of sad. I was trying to stay up and type a story. There's a website that I go on called thepros.com, and it's really nice. It's a community of writers and stuff like that, but not just world building. It's like stories and books and stuff. A lot of people publish a lot of short stories, and you can even have novels on there. And there was a what's it called? Challenge. And I was supposed to write for the challenge, and I was preparing for the whole month because it was a challenge of the month, and the month was about to end. And I was writing it, and I was just so procrastinating. Like, my brain was like not wanting to submit it because I kept wanting to add more stuff, and the story just became like, I don't know, 5,000 words, more than 5,000 words. And it was like almost midnight, and I fell asleep on my computer. And then when I woke up, the deadline was over. So I feel like that was a thing that I should just, next time, just submit it. I was poring over it, like, all throughout the midnight, trying to make sure I didn't have spelling errors, trying to make sure I didn't have any kind of conflicts, any redundancies. And I was just like, doing too much. And if I had just submitted it, it's okay. If I didn't submit it, I wouldn't have won anyway, which I didn't. And I felt like my story was kind of original. One of the it was a challenge to you wake up with a hangover or something in Mexico or something. So then I thought that this was a great thing for, and you can read the story if you'd like to. It's one of my sci-fi alien characters of Androne, and she's like an alien from far away, but they study Earth. And she decided to go on a field trip with her classmates to Earth, and they went to, and it was Cinco de Mayo or something like that. That's what it was, the challenge. So they went, and her teacher said, stay in the car. I'm checking out the thing. But, you know, they were like college kids, so then they were rebellious, even though they were aliens. They looked like humans, and they could kind of pass for being humans. So they just decided to get out of the car anyway and then go in. And then she met a guy and all this stuff, and she was just curious about Earth and curious about music and all that kind of stuff. And it was just a fun concept, and nobody else had that kind of concept for this challenge. And I just figured that would probably have at least caught somebody's eye and at least have been highlighted. But unfortunately for me, I fell asleep before submitting, and that is a regret that I have. So yes, thank you so much. for redeeming that, even though it's kind of embarrassing. And as Frogdrake says, that's a horrifying redeem option, especially at only 100 points. That's correct. It's quite horrifying, but thank you for redeeming. I appreciate that. Let's see. Definitely need to go over the grammar after judging is done and realize that's not really obvious. This guy's a werewolf. Oh, are you talking about Joe Sanders? Oh, wow. So he's a werewolf. That was not quite obvious. Thank you for letting me know. So it just says that this is descendants of an ancient tribe, but it doesn't tell more about them than I see. Let's see. If we clicked it. Oh, now we see Iberian wolf, lycanthropy. Okay, so, yeah, okay. Now I see. He's a werewolf. So if we were in the article and we clicked in, we would have figured out eventually. But just reading this, I would not have figured that about him. Thanks for that insight. Do you have a keyboard pattern on your face? Are you talking about me? Let's see. Oh, I know. I'm sorry. I'm looking like right now. Do I have a keyboard pattern? But I know what you're saying. I fell asleep on my computer when I was writing the story. Fortunately, I did not. I fell asleep kind of like this, where I wasn't on the keyboard. But yeah, same thing. It was been bad enough if I did. Cedra Honic says, my brother made weak coffee. It is not strong enough for cloths. Mochi says no. Oh no. It says 500 points to hijack the stream. Yes, 500 points to hijack. Some of these can stand to be raised in price. Like I said, today I have just become an affiliate, so I am just thankful and grateful and appreciate anybody who's supporting me at all. So I have the prices kind of low to start out, just so that I can see who would be interested in doing some things. Butcher of Seville says radical. I appreciate you redeeming that. Thank you so much. Even though the story was quite embarrassing, I appreciate you supporting me with those wisps. Yes, I was really tired. Frogdrake has to go. Bye, Frogdrake. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you and much success in your meeting. Okay. Now, where was I? Butcher of Seville had me jump cut to another scene. But we are back at Iakor. Please do tell me if I have pronounced it wrong. Mochi. Let's see. I do like this opening sentence. A lovely man who was raised to rule. That's kind of nice. I like the ring to it. Personal history. Iakor was born into a rich family, his parents being the leaders of Ridge Valley. From birth, it was inevitable that Iakor would lead the village, so his childhood was spent being molded into the perfect person to rule. From the ages 1 through 8, Iakor attended the very tiny valley school, where he was taught several subjects of his choice and a mandatory defense class to protect him from dangers, mostly dragons. Ooh, there are dragons in this world. Oh, I see. Cordial, resume, celebrate. All right, woohoo, woohoo, yay. Yeah, sorry, I forgot. I have a little thing, and I don't know where it is. So I will grab it for next time. Yes, those do support the streamer when they are redeemed. Thank you. I appreciate it for supporting me. I will find that and give you a belated... Oh, never mind. Here's something. Party. Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate you redeeming those. Thank you for congratulating me on making affiliate. I'm so amazed still, and I'm glad that you guys helped me to make it there. So all the love to you guys. So yes, Iakor. Oh, Muchi says it was intended to be Iakor, but to be honest, doesn't matter. The article is rushed as well. It's okay. Iakor, I will do that. It does make sense. Iakor does make sense. But yes, I would suggest, of course, I'm not done with the article, but I would suggest some pronunciation, at least just for his name up here. I believe World Anvil does have where you can put pronunciation on character article names now. So it would just be easy to just put that there, just as you spelled it out in the chat, and just put it in, and it will appear in parentheses up here. So let's see. There are dragons in this world. Defense class to protect yourself from dragons? That is funny. Oh, I see you have to focus on work. Have fun reading. Thank you. I appreciate you stopping by, and I appreciate you letting me read your article. Much success to work. Have a blessed day. Mochi said they will do that as soon as we can edit. Of course, no rush on this. That was just a little comment. But yes, I'm intrigued now because I just, for some reason, didn't know if there was dragons in this world. So I just figured this out. I don't know much about this world. But, oh yes, did I link it in the chat? Did I link it? I need to link it. So if you guys want to go and figure out more about Iakor, please do. Because there must be some interesting stuff in this world. Dragons and everything else. I'm still intrigued by a defense class that teaches you how to defend yourself against dragons. I wonder what they teach. That seems like something very advanced. Please check out Iakor. Iakor didn't have the best teenage years. When he was 13, oh no, his father was killed by a ridge runner after holding a conference in the center of town. This resulted in Iakor becoming very closed off for a few years, up until he was 18 when he started opening up once again. His mother remained at his side until she was also killed by a ridge runner when Iakor was 19. This left Iakor completely in charge of the town. Oh man. While he was not prepared in the slightest, luckily he did have guidance from mentors, so he was not completely alone. When Iakor turned 20, he left the village for a week or so without an explanation. He only returned 8 days later with the head of a ridge runner on his back. After being interrogated, he announced the death of the dragon that had killed his parents. Ooh, so he went out to get revenge. I have slain the dragon who murdered my parents. I have now avenged my dear mother and father, and I am now free of all emotions that have held me captive for the past 7 years. I am ready to lead this village, and lead it well. Firstly, I'm going to note that I like how you see how this sidebar, it says current location, this species, moral. I would love to learn more about a species. Oh no, multipass. That's okay. Valley people, he's 45. He was born 24th Cleric, 1960. Ridge Valley. He has dark red eyes and pale yellow skin, and he's 5 feet 2 inches tall. I do like how you have this sidebar right lined up with this, and we've been talking about this. I think World Keymaster did mention this one stream, that after the sidebar ends, you can just put, you know, the rest of the contents just flat across, so it doesn't look like the sidebar is just empty. And you did that nicely, so thank you. I appreciate that that formatting, Mochi. Then let's see, there's just a little bit left. Personality, Iakor is a nice person. After meeting him once, he clearly cares about his people. He's strong, passionate, and determined, and that is proven by his ability to control the town and keep it safe, or safer than it used to be. Aptitudes, Iakor is fantastic under pressure, which makes him a great leader. He was able to control the people of the village in countless dragon attacks, all of them resulting in the least injuries or damage ever seen by Ridge Valley. Not only is he great under pressure, he has his priorities right too. His people. The people of Ridge Valley are his #1 priority, making him an outlier in leaders. If dragons are attacking the village, his priority is to get the people to safety. Now, weaknesses. While Iakor is a caring person, he might care too much. He often gets too involved in situations that don't have anything to do with him, shoving himself into the lives of others when it isn't necessary. This happens often from what I've heard, but luckily he's able to admit his faults, and he is always forgiven. That makes sense. Oh, wow. You said you just got an ad? Oh, no, Mochi. You're right. Did you want me to reread something? sorry about that, but I appreciate you letting me read this article. And yes, I can sympathize with him here, where he cares too much and he gets involved in situations that don't have anything to do with them. Sometimes I'm like that, and yeah. But yeah, he's at least admits his faults, and he is able to admit his faults, and he's forgiven, which is great. I do like how you laid this out. Yes, did you miss anything in the last 30 seconds? So yes, I just kind of read this last part here. I like how you have this, and the article is nice and even. I like the clean layout. I like the, yeah, it's very interesting. And it says the background and global cover were made with Wombo art, which is AI, which is great. Awesome. This is a great leader of their people, and it's a nice little lovely article, and I love the formatting. Yeah, I don't think I saw many errors at all. You said this was kind of rushed. It's fine. It seems really nice how it is. I would like to learn more about some of these things. I did say I got a multipass when I clicked some of these, but that's okay. Multipass is fine because I know that not everything is able to just be fleshed out immediately, especially during the hustle and bustle of summer camp. So much is going on, you can't flesh out every article, but the good thing is you already have it linked here. So if somebody does want to read it later and you finish fleshing these out, then we can go ahead and click it.
Obligatory associate.
There's another person that followed me. Username username too short. Thank you for following. I appreciate that. Yes, this is a nice one as well. I appreciate this article, and thank you so much for letting me read it. You thanking me for reading it? Well, thank you for letting me read it. It was very interesting. Okay. Who is next? And I have so many tabs up. Let's close some of these because I already marked them here. Who is next? Said they want me to read their article. Yes, also sorry, Mochi, for your article getting interrupted by different things, but I appreciate you letting me read them. Definitely be writing the other articles. I just made those stubs while writing. That's totally fine and understandable. It's better to make the stub while it's there. All right, let's see. Who else? I don't see anybody else. If you please post your username again so that I can read your article, because I'm trying to look back in the chat and I can't see it. Let's see. Byzantine 13 says I stopped writing my article about 5 minutes before the deadline and had to skip about the last 10 years of my priestess's life and forgot to run the auto-linker, so there are no links. However, my son kept me very much awake the entire time. Yes. So it's good that you did what you could. What is your username on World Anvil? I can look it up. I think somebody probably put it in the chat and I don't see it anymore. Oh, Shadow Phoenix. Yes. In Leadspeak. There we go. All right. I figured it was slightly different, so I knew I couldn't search it like that. Thank you for posting it there so that I can... Oh, no. What happened? What happened? Gotta reload this again. Google spreadsheets. There you are. We have Callie Genro. All right, and anybody else, if you want me to read your article, please do. Butcher of Seville, yes, your username is same as your Twitch. I will search you next then. We will put this here so that you guys can see Shadow Phoenix's article, Genro, and they say, warning, this is a long one. Amélie had a quite long article, so I just hope that you don't mind me skimming over a bit. Yeah, if it's a long article, I will read through it, but I will kind of skim over it and just look at the overall feel of it. Thank you so much. Za username is too short, says my username was too short. Go figure. Well, I see. At least now it's long enough, I guess, by you adding those extra words to it. All right, and I will search Butcher next, and then Siobhan. All right, so let's see this one. Genro, the first honorable keeper. Being a strong-willed woman in a mostly conservative culture is difficult to navigate. However, it is that stubbornness that proved essential in her life. One moment exiled because of her curiosity, another leading the defense of her home, and finally revolutionizing the old way of thinking. She has seen everything life had to offer by tackling every setback or obstacle and eventually turning it in her favor. A good character portrait from Hero Forge. No child, no egg, no ratafusi, no tree shall fall, she says. Too stubborn to handle. As a young girl, Kelly has been fascinated with knowledge. From the moment she could talk, she has been asking questions and studying her environment. However, growing up in the lonely marshes, there's a link, which is great, she quickly found the boundaries of knowledge that the swamp and the people had to offer. When she first asked her parents where she could learn new things, she was met with disappointing looks. There's no need for more knowledge, Kelly. We have everything we will ever need right here. Just focus on your education regarding the ways of the keepers, and your thirst of knowledge will fade soon enough, says Kelly's father. So, they didn't want her to go out and explore, I see. She was infuriated and stumped off, but there was little she could do. She was too young to go out on her own. So she reluctantly continued her keeper's education. A few years later, she had turned into a fully functioning member of the keeper's order, tending to the trees and waters of the wetlands. While she may look at peace with her new tasks as keeper, she never let go of her dream to travel outside the swamp to quench her thirst. I think it's quench her thirst. One day, the Genro Pudlet, which there's a link to that, I don't know what that is, family roam through the lonely marshes, was working near the southern border of the swamp. Callie looked out into the world with only the river standing between her and her dream. Until her dying days, she claimed that on this day she saw herself, a pouting little girl running deeper into the swamp because her parents thought her question to be stupid. A new resolve got hold of a footing on her way back to the Pudlet. Using some leaves, she made herself a backpack and put her most precious belongings in it, along with some clothes and necessities. During dinner that evening, she announced to the tribe she will leave the swamp to go on an adventure to see what is out in the world. Her family was in shock. It was the elders that expressed true scrutiny at her plans. They even went as far as sending a letter to the highest member of the order, declaring that they were exiling Callie for her reckless decision. Still, she kept her head held high as she crossed the river into a new life. So let's see. There's a lot going on. It looks like she went out and she came back soon. So Callie's mother saw her again. This is a nice article. And it is quite long. But it's very interesting, and it has a lot of nice story to it. So, like I said, I put the article in the chat, the link. If you would like to read more about her and her story, which is very interesting, please go check it out. I need to read more about it myself when I have time. So I guess let's just check out the sidebar here. After her departure from the swamp, a messenger was tasked to hand her this letter. Upon receiving it, Kelly was in the middle of a battle alongside the people of Lamani. She read the letter a few days after the battle. Tears rolled down her cheeks and she balled her hand into a fist as her eyes rapidly shoots over the paper. So that was kind of messed up. She was in the middle of a battle and he gave her a letter that was exiling her. Dear Callie, with pain in our hearts, we received a concerning letter from your tribe. You have run away from your duties as keeper in pursuit of knowledge. We understand that you are eager to learn about all things, but we do not understand why you would have to leave the swamp to obtain such information. There is so much for you to learn had you stayed with us. Alas, we have accepted the request of your tribe. To our great sorrow, we must inform you that you are hereby officially exiled from your tribe at the lonely marshes. They do not wish to see you return. However, they are willing to accept you back, were you to formally apologize to the head of your tribe for your actions and show that you have the will to perform your duties as keeper once more. We sincerely hope that you find your way back to the mists again. May the moon watch over you, the keeper's order of the lonely marshes. She kept this letter on her at all times to remind herself of the treatment she was given. It helped her push to new lengths, to change the old ways of thinking. With the letter as its centerpiece, she made sure that everyone had a chance to learn from others, whether in or outside the swamp. These are good images with credits. Now, this is a letter of love. The soldier had never forgotten about the young and wounded swamp elf he encountered on the battle. He only but a name, and knew roughly where she would be. Still, it was worth a shot to see if she would receive his letter. Oh. I must have missed something in here that I need to read. When she got injured somewhere. Let's see, military prowess. Kelly wandered throughout Ishil, exploring the world. She liked traveling alongside the rivers or climbing the mountains. Snow was definitely something that she never thought existed. Frozen, fluffy water. Impossible. That's a nice way to describe snow. On her travels, she learned about the Geralsi Empire. This coalition of gnomes had been living peacefully for a long time, but had recently changed that stance. They had begun to advance into the neighboring territories. Their motives were still unknown, and none of the scholars could explain it to Kelly either. They did warn her not to seek the confrontation, as the gnomes of the Empire had proved to be ruthless to anyone they would come across. Wary of the situation, Kelly ventured on with great caution. Still, her life would take a grave turn. Coming out of a forest, she suddenly found herself on a battlefield. The people shouting and screaming was drawn out by the sounds of weapons clashing against each other. Realizing what she had stumbled into, Kelly ran back into the forest. Unfortunately, an arrow found her thigh first, and she plummeted to the ground. Using a thick branch, she got back up and doddered to the edge of the forest, just before losing consciousness due to the loss of blood. She felt someone taking her by the arm and dragging her quickly into the thick wilderness. She was led to a campfire with a soldier before passing out. So this is the person who he found her. Ah, you're back to the world of the living, I see. How are you feeling? I've already tended to your wounds. You know, you're a very lucky woman. That arrow went clean through your leg without hitting the bone, so it was easy to pull out and bandage. Here, chew on this. That should help with the pain. The smiling soldier. Kelly was curious who they were, what they were fighting for. Why was this fight happening in the first place? All the soldier could do was smirking at the steadfastness of the swamp elf after sustaining a major injury. Happily, he filled her in on the details. They were near Lamani, his hometown, and the Geralsi Empire was trying to cross the river to make for the city. So far, they have been able to hold them off long enough, but they are hoping that soldiers of Iltrisi will soon come to their aid. Kelly was all ears and immediately offered to help them fight this battle. The soldier laughed and took her to the general's tent. Her sense for military tactics was quickly noticed by the generals, especially since they were very different from theirs. Using this element of surprise to their advantage, they set up a new defense system to hold until either the battle was lost or the Eltresi soldiers were here. In this period, Callie learned a lot on how to conduct war, how to fight battles, what different strategies exist, and how they work. A few days later, after support had arrived, the battle had been won. After the festivities of victory, Callie went to see the ocean with the soldier that tended to her wounds. It was her final objective before going home, to see the endless seas. So I guess he liked her. He, some of this is redacted. But I see that he wrote a letter to her saying he kind of wishes that he was still here with her. That she was still here with him. And he wants to know how she's been. Yeah, so this is a very interesting article. What I will say is, this is a rare case, which I've seen before, though. This sidebar is actually longer than the contents. That is okay. I would think that maybe you could put some of these images maybe here instead, or add more images down here, or break up the text. I see you've done great with breaking up the text with large text boxes, quote boxes. But yes, there's a couple, maybe if you want to add some article blocks to different places, and that could help with this blank space here. Or if you want to, like this would be a great place right here to cut it off and just add all this to a footer, maybe. A full-length footer that spans across the page instead of it being in the sidebar. Oh, wow. It says, Callie passed away during a quiet night as she was tending to her flowers. Laying next to them, she simply shut her eyes, never to wake up in the mortal world again. Oh, wow. That's weird. But yeah, this is interesting. Credits are there, and it's nice. But yes, I would just suggest that so that the sidebar doesn't extend past the contents, maybe to take these little contents and put them here, or either add something more to the contents. But this is really nice article, interesting story, and I want to learn more too. Shadow Phoenix says the redaction is the best way I could think to represent spears on a piece of parchment caused by tears. Aww, he was sad. Oh, she did get the letter. She wrote a reply too. Oh, that's nice. That was sad. Yeah, I noticed too late that the sidebar was suddenly longer than the main block. I was maybe rushing the last 12 articles. Whoops. That's fine. That's totally fine. One of the other things that you can do, especially if you want a letter to look like it's tattered or it has tears or stuff, a thing you can do is make an art, like an image of a paper. And then, yeah, of course, it won't really be words like this. But you can have the image of a paper and just add things to it. Like if you use, I don't know, there's lots of different art programs. I use Autodesk Sketchbook a lot. I sometimes even use MS Paint, or I use Paint 3D. There's lots of other things online you can use as well to create art. And also, if you use a word processor, you can just kind of make different fonts and different boldness and different things to make the paper look like some of the words are smudged. And then you can also add background to it and stuff like that. That's just a suggestion. But this is a great thing to do if you just want to do it directly into the World Anvil. You can go ahead and add redacted. Yeah, that's fine. But yes, once again, an interesting, intriguing article. And I do suggest you go ahead and click that in the chat. so that you can read more about it later, because it's quite long and I'm not able to read the whole thing. Butcher of Seville is next. I'm going to find a butcher. Are you still here, Butcher of Seville? There you go. It's Jacob Kellier. Alright, so Butcher of Seville, yes, you are here. So we are going to read this Jacob Kellier article. And I'm going to put it in the chat as well, so you guys can go read along if you'd like. Okay, there we go. Jacob Kellier, a renowned hunt warden of Woodland County, Montana, whose reputation includes the largest array of Category 5 beasts slain of all time. And there's a tooltip that lets us know labeling system to allocate cryptids and beasts into designated categories. And it links to an article, so we can figure out what kind of category beasts are there. So, Category 5 beasts are cryptids. Which, yes, it looks like it's real cryptids that are thought to have existed, but they're rumors. Let's see. Titles: Graduate 1865, Moore Valley Trapper Academy, Trapper 1865, Queenslayer. And this is a link to an article as well. There's respecting title given to travelers who successfully kill a notorious cryptid or beast known to be extremely deadly and near impossible to hunt. Head Trapper, Hunt Warden, Esteemed Citizen of the Year. Ooh. He has a lot of stats. Kellier grew up in Rochester, Minnesota with his parents and two younger sisters. The family lived in a lower-class home, living of any provision Jacob's father could muster up. Young Jacob would accompany his father on hunts, capturing deer and rabbits to take home for food. In 1860, during one of these hunts, he and his father would be ambushed by a Sasquatch. Jacob's father would be killed by the rampaging Sasquatch, narrowly allowing Jacob to escape the danger. Widowed, his mother became a mess from that point on. To help support his mother and sisters, Jacob had to begin providing for his family at the age of 13, finding a stable job as a furrier at a garment manufacturing factory. Working with fur led to Kellier's first interaction with the trapping industry, as many trappers will come to the factory selling pelts and hides from supernatural beasts. Seeing how much income can be made from just a few bunches of fur pushed Kellier into making a career change. So he enrolled into the Trapper Initiative. He rose to become one of the Academy's highest achieving students. Kingfisher Limited. He worked at the infamous Kingfisher Limited Company. I would like to know more about that company. He was tasked to sabotage competitors and even sell living specimens to the highest bidder. So that was a shady company. So let's see. He defected from the company after the mysterious death of Harry Mulligan and his family, who tragically died in a house fire of unknown origin. He began traveling west for a new life, taking his family with him. Kingfisher Limited put a bounty on his head, but retracted it within a few months to no avail. So I guess he, Butcher says that they have articles for Kingfisher Limited, but they forgot to link them. That's fine. If you are looking at the link in the chat, go ahead and click it, and you should be able to explore around the world and figure out. Let's see. Sealy Lake Fur Company. Kellier and his family were able to reach Woodland, Montana in 1877 and immediately found work at the Sealy Lake Fur Company as a standard trapper, but his talents began to show as his fur haul began breaking records. He was promoted to head trapper the same year, leading his own hunting vanguard. The small independent company grew exponentially thanks to Kellier's endeavors. His reputation started to catch attention over at the DSA. I'm not sure what the DSA is. Let's see. Probably this. Hunt Warden position. In 1882, Jacob Kellier was nominated and accepted as an official DSA Hunt Warden for the county of Woodland, one of the highest achieving jobs to hold in the Trapper Initiative. His new management turned Woodland, Montana, into a well-maintained and regulated sector of the U.S. Monster attacks reduced significantly to 60%. Fur trading businesses increased in the area by 20%, and Kellier began a strong advocate of ethical hunting. He was reported to be a stern and calculating man under his authority position, but off the clock can be seen socializing, often with residents on the street and at the Full Moon Saloon. Kellier became a town figure, symbol of protection and power that Woodland stands for against threats of monsters and beasts. In 1884, he was married to Helen Williams and raised a family with 2 daughters. So yeah, I see that he... Oh, not much left. Queenslayer, while working at the West Virginia District for the National DSA Station, Kellier and his party came upon attacking Mothman, swooping and destroying the camp they set up in the forest. The power and ferocity of the cryptid caused large casualties and hysteria. But Kellier stood his ground, lining a shot to the Mothman as they began to swoop, getting a shot on it right in its head. Kellier was awarded the title of Queenslayer at the age of 18, gaining him the attention of the Kingfisher Company to employ him. Additionally, Kellier was close to achieving a Dragon Slayer title during a planned expedition to Florida, but was unfortunate to not be able to claim the kill as his own. Alright, so I know that how World Anvil is. Some of it goes like out of order. Under achievements we have Queenslayer, but then it didn't come in order with the Kingfisher, as it said. Like that happened before the Kingfisher, and then it's right here. Yes, totally understandable. Some of the annoying World Anvil formatting, you don't know where it's gonna appear, but that's totally fine. One of the, yes, you said there's an article for DSA mentioned on the sidebar. Oh yes, U.S. Department of Supernatural Affairs, that's what it is, and we have a link to that as well. Ooh, interesting. All right, so another thing, this was a nice interesting article. Clean layout. There's just different points, and I would just suggest maybe instead of putting Queenslayer under achievements, we can just keep it all consistent and just put that in order where it's supposed to be in this little history of his life. That might help it to not seem disjointed or out of order. Also, some of these stats could probably be transferred to the sidebar instead, like these titles. And then maybe this, I don't know, category 5 record, maybe. I don't know how long the sidebar will be after you add it, but I think that maybe some of them should be in sidebar so that it can be even. Other than that, of course, we know linking the articles to things that are interesting that we want to read more about. And other than that, I think that this article is really comprehensive and very interesting to read. It was a nice story. I like how you went from his early life and you went to all of his different achievements throughout life. Let's see. Butcher says, yeah, that's fair. Sorry, ad just popped up in the last seconds of me talking. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what you missed, But I was basically saying maybe if you could add these titles and stuff, category 5 record or something, into the sidebar instead, that'll make the content more even with the sidebar instead of the sidebar being so short. And then, other than that, like I said, other than just you mentioning that, you know, you were going to link different articles that you didn't have time to link, yes, that would be great. I don't think I saw any pronunciation issues or anything like that. It's mostly just things that I was curious to know more about that should be linked, and then the sidebar being even with the contents. That's all. I will alter that after summer camp, says Butcher. No worries and no rush, and thank you for allowing me to read this article on your screen. Let's see. We are all slaves to the ad. P.S. Don't vape. Says Sylv, and they are now open for me to read their article. Let's see. We already read Shadow Phoenix, we read Butchers, and SiobhantheWriter was next. I don't know if SiobhantheWriter, are you still here? SiobhantheWriter, are you still here? I don't vape. I survive, says Butcher. I do not vape either. SiobhantheWriter. I don't know if they're still here. If so, there is their article there. And I will just open it in a sidebar. But now that Sylv is here, what is your name on World Anvil? Sylv7271? Please let me know. So that I can look you up. At least 727. All right. Let's just do this for Siobhan. I don't know if they're still here. If they are, we can probably read theirs. If not, let's see. We're going to do Youdron Taro. Youdron Taro? Youdron Taro. Oh, pronunciations are here. Youdron Taro. I did get it right. Great. Awesome. All right. Chieftain Youdron Taro, aka Chief Taro, he, him, his. Chieftain Youdron Taro is the leader of the Kinney Forest Expanse's Nightone Hamlet, which there are links to these things. We don't know what they are. And yes, some of them are stubs. That's totally fine. At least there's a link there, and you can flesh it out when you need to. Before I get too far, I'm going to copy this and paste it in the chat for those who are watching to read along, if you would like. Youdron Taro. All right. Physical description, general physical condition. Every way Taro positions himself is to appear imposing. Wow. Identifying characteristics: ancestral helmet, headdress, war paint across his face. Apparel and accessories: woolly rhino furs and skin, 2 ceramic lion-faced pauldrons, ancestral carved stone headdress with precious stone embedded in the middle. Specialized equipment: giant red stone double axe. This gives me a very good mental picture of him. Characteristics, accomplishments, and achievements. He leads his people firmly but well. His biggest accomplishment is his role in ushering in the Nikan Iron Age, in which the Winter Nikan learned to make their own crude steel. Prior to this, they merely scavenged metals from other peoples. Mental trauma: a few months ago, Alphaean rogues killed several of his guards, violating the centuries-old Alphaean Nikon Pact. Not sure how to pronounce this. I don't know how to pronounce Nikon. Nikon? I don't know. It isn't until Knight Captain Callan Palainen and Ross Smith arrived to inform the Nikon patron saint of herring gnomes kidnapped Bisha High Priestess and set things straight that he began to trust them again. Nikon. Alright, got it. I was trying not to say Nikon, like the camera. But I had 2 Ks, so. Intellectual. Knows the realm of the Kinney Forest expanse like the back of his paw. Oh, this is not a human. Alright. Trust is a powerful tool, but it is also incredibly hard to repair once broken. That is very correct. Personality, characteristics, motivation to maintain peace and stability in the Nikon Hamlet. Religious views, he's Orthodox Bisha, with emphasis on their patron saint. And there's a link to this Beisha. Yes, Beisha was correct. Okay. Now we have the sidebar, which is very good. And it has his alignment, species, conditions, his ethnicity, winter, Nikon. Let's see. Fluffier tails and thicker fur. Yes. Cat-like yellow eyes, long wild dark brown hair, dark brown pigmentation on skin, tinted with snow. He's 6'6", 220 pounds. All right, this is a very interesting article. Thank you. And I do see this little wolf symbol here. So yes, I was thinking he must be some wolf-like creature man. Very nice, interesting article. I would only suggest to put maybe an article block in the sidebar so that it can just right there cut off here. It's a good length, but it could use a quote or an article block to just make it that little inch longer. Yes, and there we go. That's a nice one, short to the point. It doesn't have too much fancy stuff, but I do like how you added the little Ico, which is great, from Font Awesome or RPG Awesome. And the pronunciation was an awesome addition as well. Also, how you have links to everything so that we can learn more about it. That is something that I love as well. So yes. Great article. Thank you so much for allowing me to read that one. And then it was Siobhan. I don't know if they're still here. I'm thinking not. SiobhantheWriter, if you're still here, I would like to read your article. And then we will probably end the stream because I've been streaming for almost an hour and 2 hours and 30 minutes. Thank you guys for joining me. Is there anybody else in the chat that I did not get to? Please do let me know. Is username too short still here? Because if you are, what was your username on World Anvil? I would like to read your article if you would like me to. So this is the last call. If you are in the chat and you would like me to read your article right now, please do speak up or forever hold your peace. Well, until next time at least. Because yes, I will have to end the stream soon. But do know that I do plan on streaming tonight as well. At 8 p.m. Eastern time. Oh yes, Siobhan is still here. Yes, I do know your username already, and I already have Dazzle up. I was just wondering if you were still here. If you had to drop out, then I would save you for another time, maybe, if you wanted to witness me reading the article. But yes, here we are. Um, Byzantine 13 says mine is long, maybe next time. If you want to share it, you can. Go ahead and let me know your World Anvil username. And there were a couple of other long articles too. I just kind of skimmed through them as well. So it's totally fine to give me a long article. I might skim over it a bit. It's fine. Dazzle. This is already very interesting art. It's rendered in 3D, it seems. Let's see if there is credits. Cover image by George B2. And I would think that is that the whole cover image. Oh, this might be what is the cover image by George B2. I'm not sure. But I would like to know more about this picture and how it was created. Anyway, let's read the article. Siobhan. Dazzle. It's a Madam Trader Dazzle, aka Daz. She, her. Dazzle, or Daz for short, is the Burgermeister of the Daz and Pooh Trading Company. She has decided that the title of Burgermeister was not going to be effective upon her retirement or death, so the new title will be Daz. Having discussed this with her children, they all agreed it was a good choice. This way, there would always be a Daz in charge, giving the illusion that the leader is immortal. Interesting. Oh, thank you, Sylph. I appreciate it. And remember, you don't have to edit it right now because we're still in the judging period. But I appreciate you letting me read your article, and thank you. You have a blessed day if you're leaving. Awesome. Thank you so much. But yes, Daz has a good idea to make it seem like it's always the same person in leadership. Physical description. General physical condition. Dazzle is an elderly pixie. She is not as mobile as she once was. Her wings are always sore, and flying is a pain. Her gnarled fingers find it difficult to hold a quill. Due to her age, Dazzle is not the fit pixie she used to be. Her body has begun to go fat, with the muscles beginning to shrivel. Dazzle has laugh lines around her mouth and crow's feet around her eyes. Of all the things, you can find Dazzle with a quill somewhere on her person. Whether she is chewing on the end, has it tucked behind her ear, twirled between her toes, or in a death grip in her hands. Like all pixies, which there's a link to the pixie article, Dazzle is capable of helping plants grow. Speaking of that, I don't think that I posted it in the chat. You guys need to be able to read along if you'd like to. Please do check out Dazzle so that you can read more about the pixies and all the other things in this world. You can click the links like this and figure out more about other things in the world. You always find Dazzle in the finest clothing she can find, although they may be of older styles since she cannot travel to her seamstress for new outfits. Dazzle was raised by her parents. When she turned 120, she struck out on her own to find a profession that wasn't typical for her kind. That's interesting. At the age of 120, she left her parents. She found she enjoyed the art of negotiation and became a trader. She recruited friends of hers to be drivers and haulers. These are the official titles since she wasn't going to insult her equine friends by calling them beasts of burden. Over the years, her friends recruited more drivers and haulers for her trading company. Her drivers are all puka, while her haulers are a team of 4 different equine fae. She chose these particular fae for their abilities and how they would increase the prestige of the trading house. Her deliveries are always on time. Nothing can stop the Daz and Pooh Trading Company from making their appointments, which there's a link to that too. So she hires these, which is nice. Dazzle's the leader of Daz and Pooh Trading Company. She built the company up from the ground floor, starting with a single wagon to a fleet of 12. She is currently grooming her daughter Glimmer to take over the company upon her retirement. Daz has made a mark of pride to be able to ensure prompt delivery of orders to her customers. Her staff agree with her in this due to the fact that their guarantee is if it isn't on time, it is free. Oh, wow. Dazzle is highly intelligent and has a knack for anticipating her client's needs. Her most notorious client is also her best client, Francine Duplaint. There's a link to that person. Ooh. She is notorious because she has very exacting demands and has canceled many orders from other trading companies for inferior goods. If you give your word, you had better be able to deliver, is the motto that Dazzle lives by. Her daughter Glimmer also lives by this motto. Dazzle has created the only family of pixies in which the children didn't leave the moment they could. Her eldest, Glimmer, has agreed to remain and take over the company when her mother retires. Her other 3 children, 2 daughters and a son, have also chosen to remain with the company. Her son, Sparkle, has headed to another town to build a waterhouse and distribution point there. Dazzle's husband was also her first trader, a puka named Pickle. And there's a link to what pukas are. They're kind of they. Very neat. I do like this cover image. And I like the world theme. And I like the colors of this world. So she's 956 years old. She has violet eyes, silver hair, well-tanned skin, 4 inches tall, and she only weighs 1 ounce. The thing about this article, the only problem I feel is that the sidebar is not long enough, like I've been saying with a lot of things. But you can easily add to that by adding article blocks, or quotes. Or you can just take some of this kind of stuff here and move it to the sidebar instead. I do know a lot of this is in a World Anvil, different sections, and all the sections you don't know where they're going to fill out at. But yeah, when you go ahead and just make the sidebar, either make the sidebar longer, or you can just straighten this all out with a full-length footer. I see Vesamasti is back and says, I have survived my meeting. Great. How did it go? I hope everything's good. We were just about to end soon because I've been streaming for 2 hours and 30 minutes. But I do see someone else is here. Nightone World Anvil, I'm sure that stands for, says, what will you do with articles in foreign languages, German, French, etc., like mine? And that's totally fine because I have a translator on my computer. But I will be reading it in English, so yes, I will perfectly be fine to read it. Google Translate will translate the articles. If you would like me to read yours, you can post your username on World Anvil, and I will get to it next, because I was just about to end the stream in about 2 hours and 30 minutes, but you can go ahead and post if you'd like. Vesamasti says DeepL tends to outperform Google Translate. Yes, I know that there's other better translation software. Does DeepL have a browser extension that automatically translates pages, or do I have to copy and paste into it? Because if I have to copy and paste into it, then I would rather just use my Google Translate, because it just automatically makes the page just like this. It will look like it was written in English originally, when actually it was just, Google just translates the page right then and there. So that's the convenience of it. I know it's not the best, but at least it will allow me to be able to kind of understand what's happening. And yep, so your username must be Nightone on a World Anvil as well. So I'm going to go to my spreadsheet. We did Dazzle. Let's search for Nightone. Come on, Nightone. There we are. Yep. So yeah, I know. I understand. I know Google Translate is not the best, but this is the thing that will happen. You will see. So what happens is, I can click this. It says translate to English. Bing! Bada bing, bada boom. It's there. You see how easy that was? So instead of like copying and pasting everything into everything, which would probably be better, I can just read it right now. So magically, ta-da, your article, Nightone, has been transformed into an English article. And yes, some of the dubs, I will say good dubs, because it does not do a good job translating over. And some of the stuff will sound weird and wonky, maybe. And I apologize for that in advance. But yes, this is the best that I can do to read articles in different languages. Siobhan says, thanks for the feedback. Thank you for allowing me to read it. It is a very interesting article. So let's see. Helen Starfen. Fisherman, hero, and admiral. Helge Starfen. Fisherman, hero, and admiral. Merchant Admiral Helge Starfen. Do you know the story of our hero of the seas? To the man who, with his left hand, swiftly defeats the enemy, because he had no rights left. And this is Tyrolean Ballads after Galantro, the Berber bard. So I'm not sure exactly who that is, but I guess it's a ballad of this great admiral. Helge Starfen was born on 2 Nespostar, which there is a tooltip. Awesome. The 3rd month of the year, spring. So basically Nespotar is spring. 5438 AD, the 4th of 7 children in the lower town of Hemingsburg, which this is another futuristic character, or either it's a different world setting, because they are already in 5438 AD. And that's when he was born. The family was not rich, but it was enough to live on. His father, Rolf Starfen, was a fisherman and taught his 4 sons the necessary trade. Very early on, Helge showed an affinity for the wind. He sensed the lighter drafts, guessed when the weather would change, and learned to sail faster than any of his brothers. No one was surprised that at the age of 16 he gave himself up to the high goddess Lamoreth, an oath of blessing. So this is a ceremony swearing allegiance. Okay. What nobody knew, however, is that Helge had an inner source of Thaum, which the goddess opened as a gift at that time. Thus, he was a natural Thaum weaver, which there's a good tooltip there, because I don't know what this is. It's the magic in Irda. Who could influence the wind? You can influence the wind. Okay. Nightone says AD would be AC for after cataclysm. So there is a time limit. I mean, there's a time line in your world that is measured by. So I wonder what it was. I would like to learn more about that too. The fact that he successfully kept secret, natural Thaum weavers are often considered rather unstable, but which should often help him. At the age of 17, the young fisherman was hired on by the Tyrolean merchant THM, and was assigned to the caravel Gold Flood by the coastal fleet as a sailor. At the time, no one could have dreamed that one day he would hold the rank of merchant admiral. So that's the elite. Let's see. Hero at sea. In 5472 BC, which is, I guess, before Cataclysm, the so-called West Coast conflict broke out between the Kingdom of Tyrolin and the Oppersberg city-state. On Nespotar II, Starfen's 35th birthday, and Oppersberg's fleet attacked the fort of Hemingsburg, in which the royal ship, the Wermanträger, also advanced. Anchor lay the Gold Tide. Helge, who was actually on leave to go ashore for his birthday, ended up in one of the bloodiest and most significant battles of the war. Oh man, it was his birthday. Nightone says, Google translated it strange. It is all AC, so it is all after Cataclysm. Sorry. Yeah, for some reason it said BC here. But it didn't mean it. But you also have to remember, it's not just the language. It's probably because the world. So they probably think that you're trying to say something in our real life when really it's a world thing. That's messed up. On his birthday, he had to fight in a bloody battle. In the course of the battle, the Gold Flood lost the captain, and he lost his right arm. Barely cauterizing the stump of his arm with the help of a tar torch, he saw from the aft deck of the badly damaged and listing caravel that the enemy flagship, the frigate Volksbreyer, was coming alongside the Wermanträger to approach King Otto IV, Wermanen, who was trapped there to catch. In an act of sheer anger and desperation, the badly injured sailor ran to the helm of the caravel and pointed the bow as best he could at the League of Towns frigate. With his last strength, he unleashed his entire thumb in a mighty gust of wind, which he chased into the sails of the doomed ship. The caravel was lifted out of the water by the force before the sails tore and briefly flew like the fist of a god towards the people's liberators, crashing onto the deck of the galleon and smashing it before the boarding lines could be cast out to the king's ship. The collided and entangled ships sank within minutes, and an undercurrent threw the debris straight into the harbor entrance, locking out most of the opposing fleet. This completely changed the course of the battle, as it gave the Tyrolean reinforcements the time they needed to come to the aid of the port city and the king. So it says furnishing, but I think it means like equipment. So these are probably things that he has. A specially crafted left-handed saber. He has a flagship, war galleon, ring of king's friendship. Allows any wearer to approach the royal house at any time with any request. So many things that he has. This is nice. I like how this key data is made, and it looks really interesting. He has his full name, his species, and they have, yes, cool. They have links to the other articles. And this is THM, the Great Shade Authority. This is really nice. Nice. Alright, when Helge was fished out of the water, he was unconscious and only regained consciousness days later in the town's hospice. He was not badly surprised when he woke up and found that King Otto was waiting for him. The first mate of the Gold Tide, the only other survivor of the caravel, had reported on the heroism of the man, whereupon the king had decided to give his savior the 3 greatest possible honors: the Tyrolean Star, the Ring of Royal Friendship, and promotion to the position of Merchant Admiral of the Coastal Fleet vacated in battle. A position which, contrary to all expectations of his colleagues, he more than fulfilled and effectively helped to decide the war with Oppersberg in Tyrolean's favor. In 5740 AD, he married Martha von Tinneberg in an attempt to start a family. Unfortunately, his wife died in a tragic accident in the first year of their marriage. After that, he devoted the rest of his life to Tyrolean of THM. He died peacefully on 12th Winter, which is the 12th month of the year in winter, 5499 in decay, in his cabin aboard the flagship, the Martyrdom, age 61. Today, the one-armed merchant admiral Helge Starfen is considered one of Tyrolean's greatest heroes. There are several plays about the Battle of Hemingsburg. that are also very popular at Oppersberg. Opera today. Several novels deal with his sea adventures, both real and imaginary, and his romance with Martha von Tenneberg and other ladies in different ports of the continent. Half a millennium later, it is hard to separate fact and fiction completely, but that's probably what all legends have in common. So he has become a legend. This was a very interesting article and a great one. And I know, like I said, I can't really even say anything about grammar issues or something like that because I know it's translated from a different language, which that's great. Even how it has been translated, that was a pretty nice article, and I was able to kind of comprehend what was happening. Thank you so much for sharing that, Nightone. I appreciate you sharing this nice article. I like the layout, and see how the sidebar, when it stops and it cuts off, there's this banner here, and then the rest is a full-length footer, full-width footer that goes across the page, so we don't have to worry about the sidebar being naked while the rest of the content goes down. That was a nice touch. Some of it, I guess, maybe I would just say something about pronunciations, but that's okay because it's in a different language, so it's okay. But I do love how there's always tooltips and links to other articles so that we can learn more about it. And yeah, this whole thing is just a nice little layout. I like this. Thank you so much for sharing this article. That was pretty nice. All right. And I think from that, we're probably going to call it quits for now. I believe the stream has been going on for almost 3 hours. If anybody else said anything in the chat, please let me know. I don't know if I skipped over somebody, but I think that somebody did say there's as long maybe next time. So, yep, we'll wait for next time. Yes, it was very funny. Thank you for reading. Yeah, so it may have sounded a little bit funny to you, me reading it in English, and you're being like, that's not exactly what it's supposed to say, but okay. But yeah, that I feel like that was still a good, informative article, and it told a nice story, and it had a nice layout. I appreciated that layout. All right, so once again, thank you guys so much for joining. I do not even know how many articles I ended up reading today, but I will get this spreadsheet marked up and I will go live again hopefully later on tonight. I don't know what time it will be for you, but it will be 8 p.m. Eastern time, which is about to be 11 a.m. It's about to be 11 a.m. Eastern time right now, in about 15-20 minutes. So then you could probably just say about a little over 9 hours from now. Yes. Or you can just kind of just search what 8 p.m. Eastern time is, and hopefully there can be a good translation for your time zone. But once again, thank you to everybody. Thank you to everybody who redeemed channel points. Thank you to everybody who followed me. Thank you to everybody who is just lurking in the chat or watching after the fact. I appreciate you all. God bless and much success. Love you guys, and thank you so much for hanging out with me. Bye-bye.